great leadership here, and all the senators. We have an all-star cast of people that have worked on this issue, including the chair, Senator Tillis, and Senator Durbin, Hirono, and Blumenthal. I have cared a lot about this for a long time. I've cared a lot about it because my state is the home of so many refugees and immigrants. We have the biggest population of Somalis, the biggest population of Liberians, second biggest among, and we also have workforce issues right now. So it is both where my heart is, but also where my head is when it comes to our economy throughout our state. Our unemployment rate is very, very low in Minnesota, way below the national average. And we have traditionally, because of bringing in immigrants, have been able to maintain one of the strongest economies in the country, which includes one of the highest per capitas of Fortune 500 companies. So I'll start with you, Mr. Melman. In your opening statement, you discussed how the U.S. is falling behind. I think about this all the time. When we have job openings, we can't fill them with various skill levels of employees. I literally go into companies and I think about it because we talk about apprenticeships and workforce. And then I always say, and what's the most immediate thing we can do to shake this up? It's immigration reform. It's visas. It is all different things to create pathways to citizenship. What do you think, what policies do you think have the most detrimental effect right now on the ability of American companies to attract and retain top talent?
Well, Senator, I would start with one, maximizing the immigrants who are already here. And so what we hear from our clients and companies is that they have employees who are caught in the green card backlog, and that limits their progress. It limits the roles that they can take on. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, it limits their ability to go out and create new enterprises. And so the green card backlog and per country issues, those are already here. I'd start with that. The other issue you hear about, I suspect, is from companies who look to hire out of U.S. universities. And such a high percentage of graduates, particularly in STEM fields, are in computer-related occupations. If a company today asks me right now that they have a top candidate out of a U.S. university that they want to hire and sponsor for a work visa, the earliest that individual could start would be not this October, but the following October.
Exactly.
And so,
and I found it's even for some of our smaller companies, it's harder to get in line to get these employees because they may not have quite the structure to pursue the whole thing. So, very good. Thank you. I'm going to turn to a bill I'm working on right now for our Afghan refugees. We're taking in a number of them in Minnesota, and this bill would provide a pathway to permanent legal status for Afghan refugees who were evacuated. I guess I'd ask you, Professor Legomsky, what should we be doing for these refugees and for others in order to, who are facing long waits and processing times, and why is it important to change that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think your solution is exactly the right one. We should be providing a path to lawful permanent resident status. I think the situation of all refugees is compelling, but in the case of the Afghan refugees, there are more reasons still. The big one and the obvious one is that these are folks who, at great risk to their own lives, have assisted American civilians and American military personnel in Afghanistan. With all the trauma they have already been through, we don't need to superimpose the additional trauma of not knowing whether at any moment they will suddenly be picked up and returned home. For their children, the situation is probably even more dire because they have less understanding of what is going on. And for their older children, the awareness is even greater. So a path to permanent resident status, I think, is the best thing we can do at this point.
And Mr. Melman, one other thing I wanted to note, and thank you for that answer. Foreign doctors who are from other countries, but they are doing their getting their medical degrees in the U.S. and do their residencies. Crazy situation where they have to go back to their home country. We'd love them to stay. This is the Conrad 30 bill. I now have 20 other co-sponsors, bipartisan. It's a bill that I have with Collins, Rosen, and Ernst to try to continue that program and make it even stronger. It's called the Conrad 30 because it was named after Kent Conrad, because North Dakota had so many problems in retaining. It's Senator Cornyn, another all-star cast member of people who want to get immigration reform done, knows. And so that would be very important. Do you also think that we need to make the case? This is one of my big things, trying to make the case. I think businesses know it, but sometimes I think our citizens need to understand that connection with businesses. And Senator Cornyn, Coons, and Murkowski and I did a bill to require the Department of Labor to study the barriers that immigrants with advanced training face in finding employment. When you look at our needs right now. Do you want to just comment briefly on that? And then I've got to let my other colleagues take a shot here.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on foreign physicians, as I'm a child of an immigrant foreign physician who settled in Dallas, Texas. And I think historically the United States has been effective at identifying ways where there's win-win opportunities. And so bringing foreign physicians to serve medically underserved areas has been done in the past, and it's an important tool at our disposal, and Congress should definitely continue to utilize that program.
And I'll ask you a question on the record, Ms. Rajma. Thank you. We'll get you one in writing so others can go. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I join in thanking you and the ranking member for your work, and especially on this issue.